New York City is known for a lot of magnificent things. But it's also known for its endless heaps of trash.
You need us to clean your community. Without us, things won't be too pretty.
Over 14 million tons of trash per year is created by the city's residents and businesses.
We take what nobody wants and turns it into what everybody needs.
Garbage collection in New York City is unlike any other system in the world. It's a magnificent symphony of city workers and private companies with a history of epidemics, mob ties, strikes, and environmental controversy. This is how New York City hauls away its trash. In 2019, sanitation work was the 5th most dangerous job in the U.S. Most accidents occur during transportation incidents.
All the times that I've gotten hurt on this job with stitches, people throw steak knives in bags, scissors in bags. Needles is a big one also. Don't stand behind this when it's going up. Bags explode, everything comes out. You don't want to get hit with that.
You need us to clean your community. Without us, things won't be too pretty. Shift is at 6. We'll have roll call.
Stay alert. Know where your partner is, where your high-vis vests. Do not take compressed tanks.
Then they'll go and they'll check their truck. Then they get in the truck and off they go to their route.
Bingo. It's not fun on a rainy day or on a really cold day, but for the most part, it's nice. The air's crisper in the morning. In the afternoon, it gets more humid. Definitely a lot more traffic, a lot more angry people. They see we're working, and they'll sit behind us and lay on the horn. When we first started, they said that the good days will always outweigh the bad days, and it does.
The New York City Department of Sanitation is the largest municipal waste operation in the country, with over 7,000 uniformed sanitation workers and a $1.7 billion annual operating budget. The department has over 2,100 trucks that collect, on average, 12,000 tons of trash and recycling each day. When it snows, the department is also responsible for clearing the more than 6,300 miles of streets.
Sanitations have been around since 1829. We were horse and buggy a long time ago. Small little units needed a small location. Now we're in these big trucks that hold 15 to 16 tons of garbage every day.
It's a massive and sprawling system that has taken over 3 centuries to build. When Dutch settlers first founded the small town that would become New York back in the early 1600s, residents simply dumped their trash into the closest waterways, like a place called Collect Pond in Lower Manhattan. But as more people arrived on Manhattan's shores, the garbage began to pile up. In 1657, the first law was passed to regulate garbage in New York City. Residents were forbidden to throw, quote, any rubbish, filth, oyster shells, dead animals, or anything like it, unquote, into the streets or in the canal that ran through today's Broad Street in the financial district. Instead, residents were directed to take their trash to designated areas in the city. This order was difficult to enforce, though. For over the next 200 years, the city continued to grow and neglect any cohesive management of its refuse. Subsequent outbreaks of malaria, smallpox, whooping cough, measles, typhoid, cholera, and yellow fever killed thousands. In an effort to rid the city of stagnant foul water, canals and ponds were filled in throughout the 19th century. The city's famous Canal Street was actually originally used as a drainage ditch to siphon water out of Collect Pond. Without smaller bodies of water to use for waste, residents were instead encouraged to toss their garbage into the East River, where it could be used to fill in land to expand the island. Trash and debris actually expanded the island of Manhattan, but it wasn't enough. By the 1840s, sailors claimed that they could smell the city 6 miles from the shore. New York was now one of the dirtiest cities in the world, with a population that had grown to 500,000 people by 1850, 10 times more than what it had been in 1800. Finally, in 1881, New York established an official department of street cleaning. Then in 1895, George Waring Jr. took the reins of this department and began making major progress cleaning up the city. Waring, a former Civil War colonel, designed an intricate new system to haul trash away instead of throwing it in the streets or waterways. Within 2 years of Waring taking over, the city was one of the cleanest in the world. Sanitation workers wore white to symbolize cleanliness and attended a school for street cleaning. New Yorkers valued their new city so much that sanitation workers marched in parades. They became known as the White Wings. Sanitation strikes hit the city a few times throughout the 20th century, giving New Yorkers a taste of what city life looks like without a sanitation system in place. But for the most part, the system has successfully delivered uninterrupted service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for decades now. Today, service is cruising along on schedule. Once workers finish their routes, the trucks go to a transfer station to ship off the garbage outside the city, since there are no landfills or incinerators left within its limits.
So right now we're at the Hamilton Avenue Marine Transfer Station in Brooklyn. 8 to 10 districts within this area, Brooklyn North and Brooklyn South, that come and dump. Each one of the 5 boroughs is responsible for disposing their own waste. So this is only Brooklyn material. We have front-end loaders, that's what's down there, that are operated by sanitation workers, and they move the garbage around constantly, keep it moving, and put them into those different bays that you see that the trucks are dumping into. At the bottom of each bay is a container. That container gets compacted with the garbage by that tamper until we meet a maximum weight per container. After that process is done, sanitation workers will put a lid on that container, seal it, and then a conveyor takes it out onto the floor where it gets loaded on a barge. That barge will be shipped from here to New Jersey, where it's offloaded, put on rail cars, and then taken to another final destination.
About a quarter goes to incinerators, and the rest is sent to landfills in central New York State, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and South Carolina. The department has a budget of $432 million just to export waste.
Trucks come in, it's almost like a ballet. The front-end loaders are constantly moving back and forth nonstop. The tamper is constantly going. So we kind of look at it as a little bit work of art.
The Department of Sanitation only carries away residential and municipal waste. A whole other realm of garbage collection exists for hauling commercial waste. In 1957, the city opened up commercial waste to private carting companies. Those companies could bid on contracts to haul away trash from businesses, hospitals, and universities. Almost immediately, organized crime families would take over the industry. For decades, the mafia would use violence, threats, and intimidation to gain control of private carting companies. New York became the most expensive city for businesses who needed to throw away their trash. By the 1990s, The New York Times reported that New York haulers were amassing $1.5 billion annually, including an estimated $300 million to $500 million in overcharges. The rates were twice as high as Chicago and 3 times higher than Los Angeles. The mafia's hold on trash hauling in New York City was nearly unbreakable until larger companies like Waste Management and Browning Ferris Industries began to slowly move in. The mafia welcomed the competition by sending the severed head of a dog to a Browning Ferris official. The official's wife discovered a grisly scene on her suburban doorstep one morning. A note inside the dog's mouth read, "Welcome to New York." Threats continued as the mafia began to lose their grip on both customers and high profits.
The mafia is on its way to being something that is part of our history rather than something that's part of our future.
As the New York Times reported, the president of a carting and recycling firm that cooperated with Browning Ferris was beaten. One of his trucks burned and a driver was assaulted with a baseball bat. Still, the garbage cartel in New York City was no match for these massive global companies. At one point, the cartel proposed buying Browning Ferris for $10 million, unaware that the company already raked in $5 billion annually, with operations in 47 states and 14 foreign nations. In June 1995, it was reported that a mafia-run garbage cartel was charged in a state grand jury indictment under 114 counts. They were charged with using threats and violence to control the garbage market in New York City. They inflated trash removal costs by up to 40% for virtually every business, hospital, university, and private school in the city, as reported by the New York Times. The Trade Waste Commission, later known as the Business Integrity Commission, was created to regulate the private carting industry, and the mafia has never had the same hold on the industry since. Today, there are more than 90 different private carters that cover the city. These companies service the city's more than 100,000 commercial businesses. In recent years, the industry has been a target for stricter regulations, as deaths have been reported of not just workers, but also passing bikers and pedestrians. As ProPublica reported, this was due to long, often impossible routes that workers were forced to rush through. The city has recently enacted zoning policies for private carting companies in an effort to create safer roads. Philco Carting, based out of Brooklyn, hopes to paint a different picture of private carting.
So the painting above us is our grandfather. We're 5th generation.
Yep, in 1910, the business was started with a horse and buggy. So we've come a long way.
The route you're gonna be going on is pretty much the route that built our business, 37th, 38th Street. It's in the garment district.
Garment district cuttings from the cutting room floor.
So the city pretty much picks up just residential garbage. We pick up any type of commercial garbage. We have 5,000 customers. Con Edison, National Grid, these huge corporations. We come across mom and pop little stores, bodegas, tons and tons and tons and tons of garbage.
You know, garbage is gonna be around forever. A CDL will cost you maybe $3,000 to get, and you can make over 100K here. Bachelors take you 4 years, and you're not working until you get it. And maybe if you get a job. Yeah, 5 days a week, weekends off, can't complain.
Some of the piles that you're seeing, if they add up for an entire week, let alone 2 weeks, let alone 3 weeks, the island would go underwater.
While the sanitation department and private companies have varying practices, they are both customers of the closest incinerator to New York City. Located just a 20-minute drive from Manhattan in the ironbound neighborhood of Newark, New Jersey, Covanta accepts waste from New York City and also from surrounding Essex County.
As the trash is being combusted, we have tubes of water lining the boiler. As the water gets heated, it proceeds up to the turbine, and that superheated steam spins the turbine, and then that's how we're generating that power. We're generating about 70 megawatts of power. We use about 5 megawatts of power for ourselves to power our plant. 65 megawatts goes out into the grid.
We take what nobody wants and turns into what everybody needs. So we monitor carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxides, opacity, and even our steam temperatures. Behind you, our turbine panel. I can see how much megawatts we're putting out to the grid.
Can power about 46,000 homes for the year. So here at Covanta Essex, we accept Type 10 municipal solid waste, which basically is your household garbage waste. So anything that a resident may put out on the curb. Our tipping floor attendant will tell them which bay to go to. The gate opens, they proceed to the bay, they push out their load, then they button the truck up and they leave and go back to the scale house.
New York City once relied on several incinerators within city limits. The first opened on Governor's Island in 1885, and the last one was closed in the Bronx in 1999 due to high costs as well as environmental concerns. But this facility across the Hudson River has been in operation since 1990.
Grapple can hold about between 10 and 12 tons of trash. Full capacity, this pit stores probably about 14,000 tons. They do what we call fluffing the trash, where they pick it up, they'll drop it.
Trying to aerate that waste and standardize that waste, to make it a better combustion process for us. Energy from waste is a viable alternative to landfilling. There's many benefits of energy from waste, one of them being the reduction of the production of methane if that waste had gone to a landfill.
According to the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, an advocacy group for sustainability, incinerators pose environmental human health risks to the marginalized communities that surround it. Incinerators are disproportionately located near low-income households, many of which include people of color. This incinerator is the burden of Newark's ironbound neighborhood, a place where the fight for environmental justice has inspired decades of protest that continue to this day. There has also been controversy in other communities where New York City dumps its waste. Because of this feedback, the city has made it a goal to reach zero waste as part of its One NYC plan, meaning that communities and businesses reduce waste by 90%. The goal of getting to zero waste is not just in New York, but part of a worldwide initiative to change the future of our planet. In the meantime, trash will continue to be swallowed up by this incinerator or carted off and stuffed into shipping containers and piled up in landfills beyond New York City's borders. But on Staten Island, something else is happening. Residents there are finally witnessing the slow end of what was once the world's largest landfill. In fact, this peaceful grassy hill was built by garbage.
When the landfill was open, every borough sent their garbage here. You could see Manhattan, you could see Jersey City. You come up here when the sun's coming up or going down, it's really beautiful.
The Fresh Kills landfill was opened in 1948 and accepted trash from all of New York City until it was closed in 2001. In the late 1970s, the landfill received about 28,000 tons of trash every day. The trash piled as high as 200 feet. In the end, about 150 million tons of garbage would be laid to rest at fresh kills. The last mound of trash is in the process of being capped or covered through elements of design meant to keep the garbage encapsulated for years to come.
We've been capping this section 3 or 4 years, I think it's been.
The process requires many elements of construction to restore the land back to a semblance of what it once was.
Final cover construction, you have high-density polyethylene, HDPE. The planting soil that we use, which is the final layer, is good for residential uses.
Inside these rolls, they're impregnated with seed. It makes the grass grow faster.
Once a part of the landfill is capped, there are hardly any visible remnants of its legacy. Pipes are the only thing that litter these hillsides nowadays, working to pump leachate, or water that has seeped through garbage, to a plant for purification.
So the leachate comes in, we add an anti-foaming agent because we want to reduce the foam. Then depending, we have 3 tanks, and each one of them has a capacity to handle for 300,000 gallons.
The leachate needs to be purified so it can be safely released into New York's waterways. It's a careful scientific process to purify water that has been so profusely contaminated.
Bugs or bacteria are in these tanks, break down all the ammonia. We're aerating these guys, getting all of the ammonia guys compounds into the aeration tank. Now we want to remove the metals. Alum is a chemical that takes the metals and it grabs them like magnets. They all come in here and they're spinning right now. Then we do one more polishing.
The finished product is tested throughout the day to make sure the ammonia has been successfully filtered out.
Anything less than 1 is good. Good to go, you can dump that.
The clean water is dumped in the Arthur Kill, one of New York's waterways that doesn't have to suffer nearly the amount of pollution that it once did.
This is going to last forever and ever.
As the landfill continues its closure, we will see more rolling hills like this one. Soon the entire landfill will be open to the public as one of the largest city parks. We often take trash collection for granted.
We're out there every day. We do what we do. You don't have to call us. It's regular. When do you miss us? If we're not out there.
Yet it is this system, which was centuries in the making, that has allowed the city to remain the icon it is today.
It's just something about New York. It's 24 hours, it's 7 days a week. You get bit by the New York City bug, you're done.
It's given more people the opportunity to call New York home, while sanitation workers cover the streets to cart away our tons of trash.
You know, garbage is going to be around forever. As long as we're producing, there's always going to be work.